Comrades, cosmonauts, we are live. And we've got some exciting news. Our comrade has successfully performed in an MMA competition.
No, not MMA, dog.
Wait,
That's Muay Thai.
Muay Thai. I thought Muay Thai is a type of MMA, though.
No. It's a striking art from Thailand, obviously.
Okay, but it's not a mixed martial art.
No, it depends what you mean by mixed martial art. Again, mixed martial art is its own sport at this point. Like boxing is its own sport with its own set of rules about what you can and can't do in terms of striking and whatnot. And MMA is also filled with the most cringe community of athletes and fans of the world.
I feel embarrassed.
It's okay.
No worries. Commemorated your victory.
No worries. Yeah, so I fought in what are called smokers before, and I fought in national tournaments, like amateur tournaments, but this was the first time that I fought in I fought under a promotion where it was televised. And it was hard. I had to cut weight and stuff, and it was hard. I trained hard for 5-6 weeks, and the fight went great. I took no damage, as you can see, which is great. I think I got punched once in the head, so it went well. So
nice.
Yeah,
congratulations. It doesn't seem like much of a fight, to be honest.
It was. As I said,
give us a play-by-play.
Well, Muay Thai is it comes from a long lineage of martial arts in Thailand, and it's slowly turned into a division of labor, so to speak, that was heavily influenced by boxing, the sport of boxing. And so modern Muay Thai has evolved and there's different styles. And one of the styles is called Muay Khao. It's a knee fighter. It's a clinch fighter. And clinching is it's basically grappling, but standing. And that's the kind of fighter I am. So in America, very often people like to punch. They don't like to clinch. So basically I just clinched him the whole time and he didn't know what to do. And I just need him. I just need. And yeah, that's it. So because my defense was solid, I clinched him. I need him. It was, he didn't have time or space to punch me. So, and I won unanimous decision 30-27, which means I won all 3 rounds according to all the judges. So, yeah, it was a completely dominant victory. So, well, there's a lot of things that I'm critical about reflecting on it. As a perfectionist, there's I'm rolling it back. I'm I didn't do this, I didn't do that, but right now I just kind of have to enjoy the victory. And thanks to my opponent, he was tough because there was visible damage on his rib cage from just the knees. But yeah, I'm good. Look at me, I'm chilling. So hopefully I can just rest now, because Carlos can tell you I was miserable. I had been eating no carbs for weeks, and the food I was eating was just boring, fucking health nut shit. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm obsessed with food and just eating bullshit all the time. And so it's nice to be done with that. And hopefully I'm going to go for national championships in March next year. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah. But yeah, it was great. It was a good time. All my teammates won as well. So our gym really performed. Yeah, that's
awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I know as socialists that probably a lot of people in our community are whoa, this fucking meathead idiot.
No.
Even
I don't think our crowd is as much like that. I don't know.
Yeah, even I'm why the hell do I do this shit? It's stupid as hell. It's worth reflecting on. I'll have to try to philosophically.
Listen, people know not to fuck with us now. Think about
that. I think the other thing
we got the muscle.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that I was just it's I was raised. Algerians take sports seriously. My dad take sports, like my family takes sports seriously, and it's something that's been in my life. And I think it owes more to that than obviously any political commitment. But I think it's an obvious fact that sports is an important institution in human life. And just as much as socialists hope to influence anything positively, they should hope to influence the institution of sports, because especially now, the institution of martial arts and things like MMA is being co-opted by the right wing and used by the right wing to propagandize. I mean, people don't know this, but Trump was like a very early investor in UFC, as well as the mafia, by the way, like the Texas Galveston mafia. And because of that, Dana White has like this incredible loyalty to Trump and is like a diehard Trumpist and has used more or less the UFC as a pulpit for Trumpism. So yeah, right now the right wing has it's like part of the manosphere kind of bullshit. They've pretty effectively like co-opted the institution of martial arts in the US and used it to push right-wing politics. And at a minimum, we need to counteract that, because there's a lot of people who it's a growing sport. It's exploding. And
it catches a lot of young men, right? So
yeah.
Like a lot of young men can become politicized through their engagement in combat sports, and it's very right-wing.
Yeah. And I think there's inherently something in there's obviously inherently something in the kind of activity that it is that can lend itself to right-wing thinking. I mean, it's difficult to say like that, the physical character of X determines this politics or whatever, but there is an aggressive element, and it's something that's socially associated with masculinity. So
American combat sports tends to attract a certain type of psychological type of person,
Yeah.
where they have a desire or need to dominate people.
Yeah,
And that's
I mean,
sort
yes.
of what it attracts.
Yeah, but the other part of that is that it takes those people, and under the right conditions, it focuses that just to the sport. So that, as a matter of fact, what you find is that very often, if the gym is right, if the people are right, the people are super nice and are actually the last people to get into a fight or ever want to resolve things through means of violence, right? So a gym is also maybe one of the only spaces in the US that breaks down the segregation between races and genders. Like it brings people together in ways that it's very hard to see in other places in the US, because it's a highly segregated society. So I think that there is a take on sports in general and on combat sports that can help build community and foster a sense of egalitarianism and hone aggressive behaviors that, in part come from whatever issues, in part come from capitalist alienation, and hone them in relatively healthy ways. So maybe I'm naive. Who knows? I'm sure people could argue that. But as a minimum, socialists have to take sports seriously. It's an important part of human life. And there are very interesting models of socialist combat sports. Very interesting, actually. As a matter of fact, in many ways, the predecessor to MMA is something called Sambo, which is a holistic martial arts that was developed in the USSR by the Red Army during the Civil War, right? And it takes from English boxing, it takes from judo, it takes from karate, and it blends all of these together into a holistic and effective martial arts. But it was developed by a government fighting reactionary forces, right? Probably the three great sports in the USSR were gymnastics, chess, and boxing. And boxing was huge. Like it was really like highly revered sport, and the athletes were like, and wrestling, I should say, wrestling was huge as well. And Cuba is crazy about Cuban boxing is considered some of the best Olympic boxing still. They still produce some of the best Olympic boxers, and not only are they the best Olympic boxers, but they fight beautifully, they fight elegantly, they have beautiful footwork, they have rhythm. I think it's it's a fascinating institution, and yeah, as a minimum, we have to think about how we have to have a socialist take on it, right? We can't allow the right wing to play on its ugliest aspects. Yeah,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah. So that's my take.
Yeah,
I
any
like the
successful mass
philosophy.
party, I think, will have like its own sports teams, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah,
put
yeah,
on
yeah.
sports games and
Yeah. There's no better way to get
athletic
people.
clubs have its own gyms.
Yeah.
Socialist gyms used to be really big in the U.S. Actually, some of the first socialist organizations in the U.S. were actually gyms
And we
put
need all
together
kinds of
by
institutions.
utopians.
Yeah, we need all kinds
Socialists.
of institutions, right? We're trying to build a society, so to speak, within a society against the current state of affairs. And it means building all kinds of institutions, whether it's musical or poetical or civic or sports, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I mean, combat sports should be a part of that, in my opinion. Maybe people argue it'll disappear, like the family or some shit. I don't know.
Combat sports will wither away, just like
Maybe.
Abolish
Who
Muay
knows?
Thai.
Maybe.
so. First big point of interest I wanted to talk about tonight was the New York City DSA drama. I guess calling it drama is kind of maybe not taking it seriously enough, not giving it the seriousness it deserves. But if anyone has been paying attention to the kind of discourse around DSA, there has been talk even of a split potentially occurring in DSA. And, you know, I think the first thing I'm going to say about this is that I don't think there is a split, currently a real threat of a split in DSA right now. But there definitely have been some concerning things happening with New York City DSA that do definitely raise the question. It's one of those things like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And so I figured, Joseph, you are a member of New York City DSA, so you have some up close perspective. I've seen some documents explaining kind of what's going on. So I think we can kind of unpack what exactly is going on in DSA, why some people were freaking out about it, what has been done to resolve it, and what it means going forward from here, I think would be the best way to lay it out.
Yeah. So this starts with, I guess, a proposal from the steering committee of New York City DSA to introduce a local level of tier for dues or whatever. So they would create like a separate category for local members to pay extra dues above and beyond what they pay to national. And I mean, I think they had been they've done this before, like with fundraisers and, but they've never ever intimated until now that they wanted to establish like a separate tier for local members. And there was a lot of ambiguity about it. They weren't very clear. And like the people sort of aligning themselves with the steering committee on it. Then there's
So this is in October.
I think this was like a month or so ago. It came out along with the whole like Zoran, the two resolutions in New York City chapter, one of which was sort of like a Zoran gag order, and the other one was
Zoran gag order, which was basically we're not going to be critics of Zoran's admin. We're going to be mobilizers. Yeah.
Right. And then there was another resolution on top of that, dealing with the locals' dues question. Now, that resolution was written somewhat ambiguously and unclearly. And the language seemed to suggest that they were establishing a separate membership category for New York City local members. Then the website, the New York City website that, kind of funnels people to sign up for DSA National was modified like in the middle of the night. And someone had added that essentially that you could pay to become a local New York City member in exclusion to national. And that was up on the website for, I think, a few hours until someone went and sort of changed it back. Then a whole sort of debate within the chapter ensued with people, accusing, sections of the right of wanting to split because they were trying to establish this separate membership category. Behind the scenes, I believe there was some sort of contact between the MPC and the chapter leadership. I think the MPC had given the chapter leadership up to December 1st to sort of clarify what his position was about this. And now the most recent development of it was that the website was changed back to the way that it was, and now the resolution dealing with the local dues question has been rewritten to remove the offending language about the separate membership tiers. And now, the right, members of the right wing and like their supporters are pretending like that was never the intention. Like they're basically saying it was all a misunderstanding. It was cleared up. They never intended to actually introduce a local membership tier or whatever. That's basically where we're at.
That's life in the DSA.
Yeah, it's just very weird.
Could I just say one thing?
Yeah, go for
it. What I'll say about this whole thing is that I don't know if it was a split or not. My suspicion is that it wasn't. My suspicion is that there were, probably elements in the leadership in the steering committee and, their allies on the right-wing caucuses who, because New York City chapter, especially the leadership layer, has always and increasingly become more and more convinced that they're a separate organization from the rest of National. And in some sense, it seems like they're beginning to resent, the National organization and its leftward sort of trajectory.
I mean, there are a lot of people openly say this stuff. Like it's not even like hidden. Like it doesn't take much searching around like DSA Twitter to find like people basically saying that the national organization is like holding back New York City DSA, and New York City DSA is basically like better on its own.
Yeah, which I think is ridiculous. But even
they'll say that this is why we need to win back national, or just like or this is why just national just doesn't matter, and why strong locals are what matters.
Yeah, so my feeling is that like a lot of them resent the fact that they have to be part of an org where there are smaller chapters, say in like I don't know, like Mississippi, that are well to their left or something like that. I mean, they don't want to be associated with that. They want to be able to do their thing. And their thing means just being the B team for the Democrats.
Building a political machine in New York City, basically.
Yeah, but building a political machine is one thing. Forming just Democrats is another. That's building on or inserting people in an existing machine. But my feeling is that those people don't actually want to build their own Tammany Hall, right? It's more about ingratiating themselves to Democratic.
Well, I actually do think like the DSA right maybe does. It's just that they want to like build like a kind of progressive alliance. They want to do it in alliance with like progressive libs, which is honestly going to include like liberal Zionists even. Yeah, and they think National DSA, because it's ultra left in their eyes, is going to be a problem for that project. And so I think one thing to point out is that situation.
No, but I resent this notion that you can form any kind of coalition with progressive, quote unquote, progressive Democrats, whatever that means. Progressivism today in America is empty. It's a completely empty name, filled with nothing but celebrity type morons who have done nothing but placate the center of the Democratic Party and have formed a substantial reason why we are here where we are. And I detest those people. And in some ways, I detest them more than the centrist Democrats because they obfuscate shit. They really make shit much less clear. The Ro Khannas, the Liz Warrens, they can fuck
Oh
off.
yeah, I mean, listen. I agree with
They're
everything
all
you're saying,
worthless.
but
I'm
like,
sick of them.
you should tell this to New York City DSA.
They're
right?
vacillating shits who will backstab you the moment they get an atom of light towards power. I'm just sick of these people. They're pathetic. They're literally pathetic. They're worms, quite frankly. They have no spine. And I'm just going to say it. I'm tired of it. I'm just fucking tired of it.
But the point is the strategy of the Mamdani campaign has been to make a kind of alliance with these.
They are going to fuck him over.
They are. The idea that we can, build an alliance with the Ezra Kleins of the world, and this is a real partner, is this progressive blob. But we need to get away from that stuff completely. We need to cut them off. We need to isolate them. We need to break with that politics entirely. I agree. But that's not what's happening, unfortunately. And I think that's part of why New York City DSA is like so anti-national here. And so the reason why they created this local category of member is so you can have people who are part of the New York City political machine. They could run for office as New York City DSA members. They could vote as New York City DSA members, but they wouldn't be under discipline of national. Right. So therefore, they could kind of do this game of working with these shady progressive liberals. But I think, as Joseph said, I guess they did take the button to join as a local only member off and clarified. So it seems like it's a kind of crisis averted moment.
But it's weird. I mean, we can only speculate as to like the going downs behind the scenes.
This is my suspicion of what happened. My suspicion of what happened is basically some group connected to the steering committee was like, okay, if because they seem to believe that they have a mandate from convention to do this, so they basically decided like, well, we're gonna change the website to reflect what we want to do with the local do stuff, and basically make it a fait accompli. Like by the time people find out, it'll be too late. What they didn't anticipate is that someone got sloppy with the website and leaked it before, things were really ready to happen. And then so, the left of New York City DSA jumped on it as a controversy, forced the steering committee to back off from the commitment that they were making, and then backtrack and say, well, we never meant to do that. This was a misunderstanding. The left is overreacting as usual. When in reality, what they were doing was testing the waters to see what they could get away with. Now they're muddying the waters once they found out. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is that we should regard, like, whether this was a split or not is at this point sort of inconsequential because they've taken it back, but we should regard this as a canary in the coal mine. This is only going to proceed more and more, the contradictions between the local chapter and national. And it's only going to get worse the more their, electoral program is successful.
Yeah. The other thing is that it seems to me like, we could get into kind of the quote unquote reasons why having that a strong localism is not a good thing. Or I should say like, it's not that you don't want strong locals. It's the wrong way of posing it. Right. But
localism is bad.
Yeah.
It's basically,
hyper localism is bad.
You don't want the locals to be able to like veto.
Yeah,
like
even like the Russian Social Democrats, despite kind of the caricature of Leninism, before the Civil War, locals were very strong and had a great deal of autonomy, to the point where they would publish things.
Well, yeah, there's
national.
Locals should have tactical autonomy. I think that's true.
Yeah. But let me just finish one thought. It seems to me like one of the things that they're maybe not anticipating also is that something like this is going to lead to what can only be called historically as the opportunist levy, which is when a quote unquote revolutionary organization opens its doors to membership after it achieves something like power. It brings in all kinds of opportunistic elements who don't care one bit about the program or the beliefs. This isn't just a question of like purity. First off, DSA already suffers from the ideological diffusiveness and amorphousness to a degree that it's not even clear what the hell anyone believes. But the other thing is that it brings in just bad types, like completely unprincipled types, mendacious types. And so they better be careful, because even if they execute this for even like reasons beyond politics, they could be bringing in like a really sordid element.
Right.
Could
and
be cancerous to the organization.
The kind of idea is like, because you have people who are like, oh, like DSA, the problem is like the national, they put out these crazy statements, and there's just kind of like all these crazy people in DSA. It's like, oh, that's national DSA, but listen, we're New York City DSA, so you can join us without
New York City DSA is more real.
Crazies and that, but but the thing is like, who's actually going to fall for this and buy into this? How much actual support does this have, even among like more right-leaning people in DSA? Even Eric Blanc, who is like not someone who's impressed me politically at all. I'll just make that clear. He said that this was like a bridge too far, and that this was dangerous for the organization. Like, I actually think like a lot of people in the more right-leaning caucuses, like rank and file members of some of the more right-leaning caucuses, actually thought this was dangerous, because they saw that this was like splitter behavior. And I think that so there was genuine like concern from not just the left wing of DSA, I think, but I think from all of DSA actually thought this was an overstep and that this was a mistake. So I think, they're trying. I agree with your assessment of what they did, Joseph. They kind of overplayed their hand, or they tested the waters. They overplayed their hand, and now they're trying to play it off like it was all just confusion and everyone was overreacting. But if people weren't angry and people weren't throwing a fit, who knows what they could have gotten away with. And so don't let them take away. Don't let that be the takeaway from this.
I can tell you from personal experience that while this was happening, because in the last month or so since Zoran has won, we've had an influx of members. I think we've had like 2,000-3,000 members join the organization, the chapter, in the last few weeks since the election. We're up to 12,000 members in good standing. And in my branch, Bronx Upper Manhattan, we've gotten a bunch of new members. And I can tell you from personal experience, the new members were confused as hell about what the hell this was. Like, there was a bunch of them in the chat and that I've spoken to, they were like, I don't understand what the difference between local membership is and national membership is.
So confusing, like, isn't it?
They were like, I don't know, like, what kind of organization I joined. Like, this seems chaotic and messy. Like, why is everyone at each other's throats? Like, I've heard a lot of that. And, it's not a good look for new members just coming into contact with the socialist movement, that their first contact with socialism in an organized setting is this was the debacle.
It's like, welcome to our organization. You're only a local member. You don't have any rights in the national organization, by the way. But that's good, because the national organization sucks, and you only want to be part of the local organization. It's like, what's going on here? Like,
that's not a winning message.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Exactly. It's a very bad look for people.
It's like, bro, like, I thought DSA was DSA. Like, like, I thought you joined, you're a member, and you're in a branch, like,
welcome to the team, but we suck. So
well, not this part of the team. This part of the team is very good. It's just,
bad stuff. Not good. Really not a good
It
look.
is really bad stuff. And I remember, like, earlier on in DSA when there was the Build Caucus, which was also stupid, but they were more like left wing of DSA, and they were like doing the hyper localist stuff, and they wanted to like make it so that like all dues like were gonna stay in the local, or that dues were entirely optional, and they were pushing this all power to the local, like completely disempowered national, because national is right leaning. And
is this like the assembly of the locals thing?
Yeah, there was Libertarian Socialist Caucus and Build were like the big pushers of that stuff back in like 2019. I think it was that convention. That was the one that it was in person, but there was like the live stream of it. And it was kind of infamous because there were like certain individuals who like acted very like impolite and cringe. you know, but that was where like you actually had like a kind of like left-wing localism in DSA, where they were trying to basically defund the national organization and make all funding go to the locals. And because the national DSA, they're reformist electoralists, and they're taking our local dues money and spending it on reformist projects. And that was bullshit. I was against that, even though I wasn't like, a fan of a lot of what the mainstream of DSA was even doing at that time per se. Like I was still like, this is not the way to make DSA into a better organization. This is just petty bourgeois nonsense.
And now we have the right arguing for localism and the left arguing for the coherence of the national organization.
Yeah.
For the unity of the national organization.
I saw someone saying, that I guess the right, a lot of people are saying that if you're a member of New York City DSA, you should like structure your dues so that as much of your money goes to local and as little goes to national as possible. So there's definitely a lot of resentment towards national in New York City DSA, and I've been reading about the collapse of Yugoslavia. This is how it happens, man. This is how it happens.
Wow, break down along sectarian national lines.
Yeah, this New York City chauvinism is going to get out of control, and it's going to start eating our glorious.
When in my misspent youth, I was in the ISO, and there was a certain someone that I won't name who I remember saying, he said proudly, "New York is the St. Petersburg of the American left." And I'm thinking to myself, motherfucker, you're from Minneapolis or Minnesota or some shit. Shut the fuck up, like transplant, like.
Yeah, no, it's funny. There was a recent exchange in Cosmonaut kind of about this. Somebody like went to the Jacobin conference and wrote like a pretty funny, like kind of, just little bit of a review of it and what it was like. And I guess Vivek Shibber, one of those people, was like, New York City said the same. New York City is the capital of the world socialist movement, and and Mamdani's going to be mayor, and the rightful place of America is the capital of world socialism, and it's like this New York City chauvinism, ridiculous. And then somebody was like responded being like, "No, you're ridiculous. Like Mamdani won the election. You must feel really stupid now." It's like New York has had socialist mayors before. Like, I'm not trying to like undermine the importance of Mamdani.
No, I know you're not.
I think he's important for a variety of reasons, but New York City people, it's a great city. It's a marvel of the modern world. I love it there. But
okay, you can say it, Donald. We're narcissistic.
But yeah,
we're solipsistic.
There's definitely New York City chauvinism is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
But
y'all think you're better than us.
Yeah. Well,
us bumpkins in the hinterland.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I mean, it is technically. I mean, it is a great place to live. It's a great place. It's
great place to live. Fuck that, bro. I had the most miserable time of my life.
Welcome to the concrete jungle.
Yeah. I've lived here for 34 years, and it's getting worse every single year.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. I love New York, and I still have a lot of fam and all my best friends there and shit. But
it could be a great place to live. It could be a great place.
Oh yeah, if you have like several zeros in your
if you're Bill Aikman, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you're Bill Aikman.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it was like affordable and well, whatever. The point is New York City chauvinism is stupid. You should read the Cosmonaut letter section because I thought that was kind of funny.
Against great New York chauvinism.
Yeah, because it's like. No, Mamdani winning is obviously important. New York City is obviously incredibly important, but let's not get ahead of ourselves here. And as we can see with this nonsense in DSA and the way New York City steering committee, this is not even like the right wing of DSA. It's more of just like a rogue part of New York City DSA acting like against the constitution of the organization. By the way, like what they did is just straight up like illegal.
to the credit of, you know, a lot of the rank and file members of the groundwork caucus and stuff like that, they actually were very upset about it, and you know, had gotten, I guess, militated and agitated against this. I think that's part of the big reason why they backed off, because even their own members were like, what the hell is going on with this?
Right. Kind of like how MAGA is kind of having issues right now because its own rank and file are freaking out about what's going on with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah,
Back to the Epstein.
That's
Which
quite the
kind of brings us into the second topic.
I love how like the most nefarious thing that goes on in a socialist org is like the potential for split, and the most nefarious thing at the highest levels of power is just a cabal of pedophiles doing crazy shit. Like it's just insane. Like the moral, like just not the same moral universe.
Oh,
God damn.
Just wait till we're in power. That's you know, that's where it gets scary.
No, I don't think, you know, I mean, no, unfortunately you had your Beria.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Soviet Union kind of had their own Epstein with Beria. Except it's a different thing. Epstein, you know, I find Epstein, the more we're learning about Epstein, the more I think like the simple, like he was just a Mossad agent narrative is obvious, which obviously captures an important part of who he was. It's not the whole story. Like, I don't know. We could get more into this later, but
I think it's worth you. Okay, I think it's worth you taking us through it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, catch us up.
Yeah, catch us up because you're our pedophile expert.
Pedo Watch 2025.
Pedo Watch 2025. I mean, I don't know that much about Epstein.
You are so knowledgeable about right-wing crazy shit. It's unbelievable.
Oh, I'm just knowledgeable about, you know, sus things in general.
Yeah, it's true. your cringe capacity, your capacity for cringe is incredible, and your ability to nuke your YouTube algorithm is in the service of socialism is
we thank you.
Commendable. We thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like I've all my
service.
life, my interest in the subterranean and the weird and the fringe.
It's also why we're big fans of Pynchon, Thomas Pynchon.
Yeah, I mean, it has rewarded me though, because I mean, I feel like look at what's happening in the world right now. I think, you know, I mean, there was a point where being interested in Jeffrey Epstein was, you know, the province of cranks and weirdos.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
the thing is, like, you know, everyone knew some shit was up. Come on, man. Like,
yeah, no, everyone knew. I mean, I always thought something was up. I always found it really interesting. And
I mean, he fucking, you know, he got suicided, and everyone was just like, yeah, that happened, and everyone knew it was nefarious. It was not a suicide, and we just went on with our lives. It's like, except for, as you said, like a layer of American society, many of whom are not well-respected types, we'll say.
You know, I knew someone who like had family who knew Jeffrey Epstein. It was really fucking weird.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it's been years and years since I've talked to him, but like,
he seemed to know a lot of people. He was very well connected.
Yeah, no, we're gonna talk about some of the people he knew, and some of the connections he had, because they were fucking crazy. And so you guys talked about the drop site revelations earlier, which I think basically leading up to these revelations that came out, I think it was November 12th through his house subpoena, basically irrefutable evidence that Epstein was a Mossad asset. Not necessarily an agent, I think, but definitely someone who was working with Israeli intelligence, working with foreign governments to create, you know, as a liaison, basically, to create, you know, networks between Israeli intelligence and foreign governments, and kind of mediate deals between different people. We saw that he was a go-between for Russia and Syria and Israel. But the latest batch, I think, is more interesting because, well, first of all, like the Trump stuff. Maybe we should just go directly into the Trump stuff and show like how basically, like, we basically have irrefutable proof that like Jeffrey Epstein in Trump, where the axis of Epstein has triumphed over the axis of resistance. And I think that's unfortunately, what's happening. So yeah, we have irrefutable evidence now that like, not only that like Trump lied about the nature of his relationship with Epstein, but that like, that Epstein had knowledge about Trump that he was trying to use or potentially could use as compromat, that Epstein was very much, in contact with Trump up until during his election campaign, actually. So let's just look at some of the actual emails and talk about them, because I feel like we're stalling here. I'm stalling here. And I don't know. Have you guys seen any of these yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've in reading various.
I've read quite a few of them, and I found very interesting things in them.
Yeah, and so I will say that first of all, one thing to think about here is that Epstein is aligned with multiple different factions of the ruling class that are all at war with each other, especially as Trump becomes more and more powerful. These people are increasingly infighting with each other, right? But it seems, that Epstein is this guy who he kept his hand. He really did try to cultivate. He tried to cultivate connections to every different faction in the ruling class in order to basically diversify his assets as well. And so he does kind of come off less so as someone who's directly like working for CIA, directly working for Mossad, as someone who's kind of built up his own independent power base and has become a kind of power broker through controlling information and providing information to different intelligence agencies, different oligarchs, different foreign governments, etc. So there's these ones with Michael Wolff, who's this journalist that was covering Epstein and was also talking to Epstein. And he's like an anti-Trump journalist guy. And some of these talking about Trump are like really freaking damning. Like, Putler's Middle East policy. Yeah, I thought the drop site revelations about Epstein and his role and kind of like helping coordinate Russian and Israeli actions throughout the Syrian war was really crazy, because that's one thing that we've been talking about on here, is the possibility that there was collaboration in the fall of Assad with all of that. Okay, so he's talking to Michael Wolff. This is in towards the end of 2015, right? And he's talking to Michael Wolff. He says, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in Scrum afterwards. Sir, if you're able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it would be? He says, I think you should let him hang himself if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House. Then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, that is possible that when asked, he'll say that Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. So,
what? Like, just immediately, what I want to know is, why is this guy giving him advice?
Yeah. That right there is really sus. But that right there is really interesting. How he's basically saying that like he could sink Trump.
Are these guys like? You say these things on Gmail? Like,
yeah. No OPSEC whatsoever.
Like what?
Just like fucking admitting to crimes and shit over plain text email.
Like on like fucking Yahoo.com. Like what the
But he's basically saying that like you have dirt on Trump, you can hang Trump, you can turn on him, or you can generate a debt from Trump, and you can basically have it so Trump is going to be the pro Epstein guy, is going to frame you as like a victim of political correctness. And And so it really puts a lot of the kind of like anti-Me Too and even like the anti-woke stuff in like a new framing.
I also like how he's like, yeah, I know I'm a piece of shit. And association with me sucks. Wow. Oh my god. Yeah, no, this shit is damning. There's some other ones too.
Yeah, no, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Okay, so all right, let's look at another one. So this is
Okay, wait.
another
Here's something I want to ask. How did we get these leaks? Where do they come from?
They were
It was
released
a subpoena by a House committee
Okay, so it's a
on the
subpoena
Jeffrey
by the
Epstein
House.
estate.
It comes from Epstein's estate directly.
Okay. And do we have like, I mean, I'm not trying to cast doubt or whatever, but what's
No, it's legitimate.
No, this is from a government website. All these emails are from a government website.
Of course, the Republicans will be like, it's the woke.
It's a Democrat hoax.
Well, I guess the ultimate hope you could say is that like Epstein was like putting fake information out there so that the deep state could use it against Trump or whatever. I mean,
the emails themselves are not a hoax, but the media operation is definitely like being led by the liberal section of the media. I mean, they're making great hay out of it. They're making a lot of hay out of it.
And the thing is if there's Epstein is this guy Michael Wolff that he's talking to, he's a liberal journalist who's connected with all of the liberal establishment, basically. I mean, he's on the Daily Beast like YouTube channel talking about this stuff all the time, like recently. There's an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help finish him. Interested? So yeah, there's Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein, basically saying, come out and finish off Trump. So I'm starting to think that it was Trump that had Epstein killed.
Someone, I heard from someone yesterday that
I don't know. I mean, we don't have. I mean,
we don't have evidence, but like,
I heard from someone yesterday. I'm wondering if you can confirm this for me. Someone told me yesterday that Pam Bondi was in charge of the prison that Epstein killed himself in.
No, he supposedly killed himself.
Oh well, yeah, excited. You know what I mean. But the what I want to know is, was Pam Bondi actually in charge of the prison when that happened?
Someone look that up. So this one worked at Mar-a-Lago. She was the one that accused Prince Andrew. Trump said he asked me to resign. Ever remember? Ever. Of course, he knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine the police to stop. So in this case, they're talking about Virginia Giuffre, who is one of the key witnesses of the Epstein case. She has been attempted to be discredited by various right-wingers and contrarians like Michael Tracy, who have tried to say that her because a lot of the case against Epstein as a sex trafficker on the massive scale that we believe him to be is a lot of stuff that Virginia Giuffre has said, and a lot of people have tried to like cast doubt on her testimony by saying that it has a lot of stuff that's too far-fetched. But this is interesting because they're talking about her directly, and they are corroborating her. So there's a lot of other stuff in here that corroborates that mentions her, and there's other stuff in here that corroborates what she says. But of course, he knew about the girls. So this is in reference to Trump, and that's pretty damning. He lies and says he didn't know about the Epstein girls. He says that he didn't know about it. So, another instance where Trump has been caught in a lie, and so yeah, this is the Michael Wolff stuff. There was another interesting one. Oh yeah, the dog that hasn't barked. That was another.
Oh, that one is.
Yeah.
It's like creep poetry. It's like poetry.
I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia, that's Virginia, who I was mentioning earlier, Virginia Giuffre, spent hours at my house with him. So, another instance of her testimony being validated. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. 75% there. So, you know, just more evidence proving that Trump was someone who diddled kids. Basically, Epstein had evidence of it and was holding it over him. And, you know, I don't really see how you can deny it at this point.
Just sickening, really. Just fucking.
Well, they're trying.
Yeah, I mean, we can
trying
watch
furiously.
some of the responses from the conservative media to about this.
Oh yeah, what does the Donald?
Yeah,
J.
we'll
Bubba
get to
mean?
the Bubba quote actually,
We'll-
because
we'll
that
get
actually
to
mentions
that.
Putin and Lavrov and shit too, which is fucking crazy. Like, I kind of spent like all day yesterday looking at these emails and trying to find like
There's so many.
there's so many, and some of it is just press clippings actually. So even like not all of it is, or you know, stuff that's already been released even. So you have a dog that hasn't barked. That's what I'm gonna refer to Trump as that from now on.
Yes.
Dog that hasn't barked.
Unbelievable.
Okay, wait, we already saw this one. This is the one, of course, you knew about the girls. Fuck, where's the Bubba one? Oh wait, here it is. So it's funny how it begins. A while back, you mentioned that you were pre-diabetic. Has anything changed with that? What is your boy Donald up to now? Asking if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. And so we believe
Oh,
that
yeah,
Bubba
yeah.
is Bill Clinton.
Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump.
So this is an interesting one right here, isn't it?
Our ruling class is strange as fuck, bro.
Dude, we have. I thought that our ruling class was senile, but this is like, you know,
But they're
reflects
asking
the state of the
Epstein-
nation and the empire.
They're asking Epstein if Putin has like videos of Trump blowing Bill Clinton. I mean, you know, some people are saying this just seems like a joke. Like
It might
know,
be. I mean,
it might be because it's just so ridiculous and just out
I
there
don't even.
that it's like it's almost like a joke you would make. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna ask my boy Putin if he's got the videos of you know, Trump blowing Bill Clinton himself. Like,
You know, though,
you
know that even if it is, you know, like under whatever circumstance, that Trump is probably fucking livid, just so angry.
Bro, he is going crazy. Apparently, the vibe inside the White House is like Jonestown.
Yeah.
Delane have a horse named Bubba. Oh my god. That's gross.
That's disgusting, bro. That's so gross. We live in the worst timeline. It is so
Yeah,
cursed.
so
It is so cursed. Oh my god. Okay. Like, what can I comment on that?
There's so much in these emails. Do you have the email?
Yeah.
So these were some of the more famous ones that were talked about in the media. There was another one that I thought was interesting that showed that Epstein was at Trump Tower, like long after Trump had claimed, like this was like hold on, let me bring this one up. You still in Paris? He says on November 13th, 2016, you know, Trump is you know, campaigning and stuff at this point. Very much you know, a player in the game. Claims to have not had connections with Epstein for a long time. Trump Tower is where Epstein claims he is. Very interesting. Very interesting, isn't it? So there was another one with Lavrov mentioned that I thought was interesting. I think you might suggest to Putin that Lavrov can get insight on talking to me. Vitaly Churkin used to, but he died. I think Vitaly Churkin was a Russian ambassador at the UN. One of those sus Russian guys. I'm gonna get called out for Russophobia now.
Yeah.
I'll
Nobody
meet
cares about
Lavrov's
that.
assistant on Monday, and we'll suggest that for a thank you for a lovely meeting. I'll come to UN high level week. Churkin was great. He understood Trump after our conversation. It's not complex. He must be seen to get something. It's that simple.
Who is Torbjorn Jagland?
I'm not sure exactly who that is. But
Oh, he's a politician from the Labour Party in Norway.
But Epstein, let's think about this for a second. Epstein, who we know definitely has compromise on Trump, definitely has information on Trump that he's holding over Trump, is now saying that he can talk to Lavrov and talk to Putin to help them understand Trump. Like, think about that for a second.
I just want to say that I don't feel like Trump is very difficult to understand.
He's not difficult to understand. No, it's not like you need to talk to Jeffrey Epstein to understand Donald Trump.
I think he's saying
what does Epstein say though? What does he say? He says that it's not complex. It must be seen to get something. It's that simple. I think what they're saying is that we're giving the Russians information about Trump, and he has to get something out of it in order for them to
So Russia gave.
So presumably,
I don't know, man. I'm just
so presumably Jeffrey Epstein has been acting as like a quasi representative to the U.S. government in these conversations.
I don't think I will say this. I think Jeffrey Epstein represents himself above.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's key.
But
he also seems to be running like interference and like telling people, well, I can liaise with the government for you, basically.
Yes, he's a liaison, but he's like playing multiple different factions against each other.
He's a pimp and a liaison. That basically.
Well, there's a reason why
the pimp and a liaison, right?
Sure, but there's a reason why like they train ambassadors, and like there's a very rigid code of ethics about negotiating with foreign governments and having it be recorded, et cetera, et cetera. Like he's doing all of this like opaquely.
Yeah, that's exactly the point of someone like him existing, is that governments use people like this to do that kind of dirty work. But in order for people like that to exist, to do this kind of dirty work, they have to be in the underground, which makes them prone to volatility. That means that other people are going to, be working for them or working with them, that other people can, that they can turn on you, that they have their own interests, that they're in it for themselves, and that they're dangerous. And that's why if you play this game, you end up dead, which is what happened to Jeffrey Epstein.
I mean, he was extremely powerful, right? I mean, it ended up being very much in his interest. He was a billionaire, right?
If you read a lot of his emails, it's very clear that for whatever reason, everyone went to him for advice. Like everyone you can think of that was in the government would go to him for advice,
which is bizarre because the guy is a moron. So
right,
it has more to do, I guess, with types of information that he has. Types
of information, like people he's connected to, people that he can get meetings with, etc.
Yeah. And then other, compromise as we
right. Well, you have this influential group of Jewish oligarchs called the Study Group, which was founded by Les Wexner and Charles Bronfman back in the early 90s. And, Les Wexner basically built up Jeffrey Epstein and made him rich, as like the only kind of explanation that people have, like how he got his wealth is. So there's basically he was able to have the right kind of connections to like the right kind of like oligarchs.
But didn't he like
and was able
ostensibly
to
make a
have his wealth?
shit ton of money as like a tax consultant or whatever?
Yeah, but nobody can really track that money. Like nobody
Yeah.
can really put names and faces to that. Apparently the only person that they can verify was actually paying Epstein for anything is Lex Wexner.
Okay.
Lex Wexner,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
That's the only guy that they can actually
And
verify.
Donald Barr's father, he was also, part of building up Epstein. But basically, you had, people in the ruling class built up Epstein, turned him into this powerful, rich person. And, he had a whole world in the underground that he was the master of, essentially.
It's just so infuriatingly.
He was the international man of mystery.
Yeah, it's just so infuriatingly opaque and
It is,
confusing. It's maddening.
It is. And here's the thing is, this is only scratching the surface, really, is these little documents we're getting here. But it's already like showing so much and revealing so much. So one thing I want to bring up as well is, so we mentioned that we talked about earlier how like Epstein was talking to that journalist about how like Trump could basically kind of like, defend him by doing this whole like, oh, he's a victim of political correctness thing. So it turns out that, Steve Bannon is actually, a lot of these emails with Steve Bannon. And there's just so many of them with Bannon that we don't really have time to go through all of them. But there's a decent article I found that does cover some of the basic stuff with Bannon. And it kind of covers what the exact plan was with Bannon. But it's from this weird newspaper, Byline Times. Steve Bannon ordered Trump's MAGA as shield for Jeffrey Epstein. So basically the idea was that you would have the MAGA movement would serve as a kind of battering ram against this wave of feminism and this Me Too movement that was rising at the time. And Bannon was kind of like selling MAGA to Epstein as basically like, this will be like our way to kind of like save your public image, or whatever, and like save your like to save your
he's the victim of fucking
yeah, you're the victim of the insane feminist mob that doesn't
God.
have any kind of
Cancel culture.
reasonable grievances or whatever.
And
you're just a victim of political correctness and the insane Me Too movement, and that you're actually this based guy.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the kind of narrative that they were going with here is so on one end you have Epstein talking to these liberal journalists, talking to there's various Obama administration figures that were in these emails, that he was talking to. But then on the other end you have him talking to Steve Bannon and discussing how are we going to create a right-wing anti-feminist movement to help me like save my public image in the face of all these child rape allegations that are being thrown at me. So what I mean by he only really worked for himself was he was clearly someone who was trying to manipulate different factions of the ruling class for his own agenda while attaching himself to their different agendas and making himself a tool of their agendas. But in the end, he was always trying to kind of serve his own agenda and build his own kind of power base and his own operation as this kind of international intelligence asset that could traffic in information.
Yeah, and I mean he's the role of I'm trying to kind of quote unquote theorize on all this, but I mean in terms of the capitalist state, he plays the role of someone who can hide in the shadows away from any kind of democratic oversight and realize the interests of this or that faction, right? And in return, play on that ability to leverage a position of basically state power,
Right.
right, and even command over labor or capital. So
It's the lumpen bourgeoisie.
yeah,
He is like the ultimate
yeah,
lumpen bourgeoisie.
he's like the ultimate lumpen. He's like if you took the mafia and it's like the apotheosis of the mafia, right?
You ever seen that show Ray Donovan?
No, I haven't.
I haven't.
Ray Donovan, real quick. It's a show about a fixer, basically. Like, he works for celebrities and other people like that. And let's say some guy killed a prostitute in his hotel room. He'll come and like clean it up and make sure that nobody finds out. That's basically Epstein's role here.
Yeah.
Like, he's a political fixer. He makes things happen for people.
Yeah. And he does it in a way that can circumvent legality,
right,
oversight.
He does it in a way where no one has to know it ever happened.
Yeah. So he plays a very important role, actually, in terms of the functionings of state power for a capitalist class.
I mean, you can
it's not just like. So I guess also what I'm trying to say is that, like, as influential and as important as he as a particular individual seems, it's like more important to understand his role. It's more important to see him as a member of a certain kind of.
So that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting at, which is if you want to theorize his role in this, is that his role or his function is to smooth over the contradictions between different factions of the ruling class. These people couldn't work together if they didn't work through him.
Yeah, and also to get away from the limelight, right? I mean, to get away from democratic oversight, from the annoying, applauding proletariat that might have a moral scruple with how the ruling class actually manages power or uses its power. It's really just,
yeah. And one thing that's interesting is how the Me Too movement didn't really touch Epstein, or like it was very much focused on like Hollywood and celebrities.
Yeah, but wasn't it more?
A lot of the victims of Epstein were like working class women and girls.
Yeah, I know, but isn't it because no one I thought that he had been more or less up to that point morally, he was seen as a morally reprehensible person, whereas Me Too was very often about outing people who were not just like normalized, but seen as like prestigious like individuals, right? Or who were like esteemed individuals. I feel like at that point Epstein it was already known as a piece of shit, and like no one really disputed that, right? There's nothing to out. I don't know.
I guess the timeline on Epstein becoming more publicly known.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, I think it was up until his first conviction for trafficking a minor. Basically, before then, no one really knew who he was in the public. He was more or less a ruling class figure. Before that point,
it's really.
Mutually assured destruction. Can't see how all these world leaders could have trusted Epstein, the guardian of their own interest. No way they thought he was their personal loyalty.
I don't think I see it that way, though.
These people are stupid because they party with him, they hang out with him, they spend time with him, they become friends with him, they do drugs with him, they, do very fucked up things I'm not going to say on YouTube together. Like, there's bonding rituals among the ruling class that happen, I guess. And that's what's interesting, I guess, about some of this stuff, is how this way of like getting compromise on people and getting dirt on people is in a way, it's a way for the ruling class to kind of hold each other to their accounts and make sure that they live up to their like kind of deals and stuff without having to rely on bourgeois law as well. So yeah, this Bannon stuff is very interesting. It's funny, they start talking about crypto stuff and how they can use crypto to fund their operations. They want to create a religious entity that could invoke clergy penitent privilege to shield communications from the Special Counsel Criminal Investigation, Donald Trump, regarding Russian interference in the 2016 elections, led by then FBI Director Robert Mueller. They really care so much about shielding any kind of investigation, any kind of Russian interference. Clearly have nothing to hide. Bannon's response outlines the coalition he believes can power over the next decade of right-wing politics. Populist nationalist first.
Yeah, what does reverse
Alabama
mean?
It's a good question.
Maybe like desegregation?
Because Alabama's a deep red state. So what could he possibly mean by that?
And
I typed in reverse Alabama and got reverse Alabama slam for WWE.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
Reverse Alabama.
Populist nationalists first, conservative Christians.
No, I'm caught up on this reverse Alabama. What the
reverse Alabama, and then it staves off Time's Up, which is like the proto Me Too, I think.
Your time's up.
Time's up, Epstein.
No, it actually isn't. His time is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the ghost of Epstein is haunting
The
us.
most consequential political figure of modern times is the ghost of Epstein.
Yeah, it's really.
Say what you want about Jeffrey Epstein. He was a man of history.
Yeah, he has staying power.
Yeah. God, such a lumpin.
Men of history, they have power like this, where in depth they are able to.
Oh, okay. Alexander provides a sort of explanation. Alabama used to have consent at 14 or something. So
Jesus.
What would they be reversing? Like the idea of having,
reverse the fact that they raised it, right?
Oh, okay.
They want to lower the age of consent. Shit! I did not think about that.
What is wrong?
Yo, you put the piece
so
together.
Bannon was literally talking to Jeffrey Epstein about how they're going to create a movement to lower the age of consent.
Okay, listen, Alexander. I know two things about you. Either you're very sharp or you're sus.
You're very sharp, or you have an interest in knowing the age of consent in every state.
I am going to put it down to 1. Okay, I trust you, Colin.
It's
not hate on having interest in sus.
Yeah,
no,
okay.
he's our viewer.
I know you.
He watches our program, so he's cool. Okay.
So he's big brain. Okay, like everyone who watches our program is galaxy brain. So I know.
But yeah, no, this is wild, man. This is absolutely wild.
Yeah, he was one of the history figures of all time. Yeah, that's true.
World historical.
Yeah,
Jeffrey
you know what?
Epstein.
When that term was.
Fair enough.
I do libertarians.
You got it.
The third option. Okay, thank you for clarifying. But no, I mean it's this is nightmarish. It's like Eyes Wide Shut, but like way darker.
It is. It's way worse.
It's the worst. But I think what we said earlier, kind of quote unquote theorizing, over elaborating, maybe the meaning of all this is important. It's all good and fun to get into the nitty gritty and look at this guy and his history, but finally, what does he represent as a member of a certain class is by far more important, because insofar as there's that quote unquote need of the ruling class that we had mentioned earlier, there will be people like him, right? And so just because you get rid of one Epstein doesn't mean that you get rid of the conditions that allow many Epsteins to emerge. Another reason why you need democratic oversight over state power and over ruling classes. So, or anything like them.
So this guy's been playing both sides constantly.
Yeah, he was I mean, people like to say he was a dumb motherfucker, but he had a certain slickness to him, huh?
He was slippery, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's all very weird.
You want to talk about the?
Oh yeah, let's talk about it, bro. Okay, I'm just gonna say as a precursor, Lenin never hung out with creeps like Epstein. Chomsky did. Leninism won. Chomskyism 0.
We're scoring points here.
Hell yeah. He can talk all kinds of shit about fucking Kronstadt, but what he didn't do is hang out with fucking Jeffrey Epstein. So fuck off.
Well, he wrote him a letter of recommendation too.
That is weird as fuck. And then did you hear his reason for it? Did you read his response?
Not really.
Yeah, Prenti won, Lenin won. Chomsky 0.
Parenti is. I'm
yeah,
not a big
Parenti-
Parenti guy.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Parenti guy, but he at least he doesn't take the L on this.
Yeah,
He
I will
just had
say on
bad
this
takes.
one, Parenti wins for sure.
Yeah, no, he had bad takes, but at least he wasn't hanging out with Jeffrey fucking Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, his like
Okay.
Chomsky's
So-
cooked.
no,
Chomsky's cooked, bro.
but Carlos, he like wrote this, like people were like, why did you write him anything besides like fuck off? And he's like, well, in the Western system, once someone has served their sentence, they're considered rehabilitated.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like what the
He served a
fuck?
sentence for trafficking a minor, you fucking weirdo.
And he went right
And there
back
was the
to
whole
it.
Ehud Barak too, which was really interesting. Is
Oh yeah.
that Ehud Barak is involved in all of this, and
Wait, okay.
Well, did you see the email where he set up a meeting between Epstein? Epstein set up a meeting between Chomsky and Ehud Barak.
yeah, this is what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Super weird.
So
I mean, okay, wait, what is Chomsky's position on Israel? I know he's a critic of some sort. What ultimate ideological orientation does he have? Is he anti-Zionist?
he's like for a one-state solution. He says.
Okay. Then that's solid. I mean, as far as I can, Okay, let's see what's going on. Maybe he was just like a
Well, that's what he says. He was like, "Well, I just like Epstein because he would introduce me to a lot of interesting people and have a lot of interesting conversations."
Okay, so
I
this
find
is the-
that incredibly, I find it difficult to believe that Jeffrey Epstein entertained Chomsky in rigorous intellectual conversation, but okay.
yeah, this is
Maybe it was like interesting in the sense that you're like, wow, this guy's a freak.
I think for
Jeffrey
Chomsky,
Epstein to Noam Chomsky.
Okay,
Only go to Greece if you feel well. I just had to send my plane to bring another lefty friend back, back from Athens to see a Jew doctor. In New York.
why did he say it like that?
Bro, if any of us wrote that,
well, no, like Jeffrey Epstein was like a Jewish supremacist.
Yeah.
No,
I know, but what I'm saying is like,
why did he say it like that? That shit sounds.
That phrase is
wrong.
nuts. It's like
He went to go see a Jew doctor in New York.
It's just so fucking.
This email was 100% referring to Yanis Varoufakis.
I don't think so. I don't know. There are
What makes you
plenty.
say that? Well, I guess Greece and lefty friend in Greece.
Bad for them, good for you. No need to have only one currency. Wait, he says Chomsky says to him, bad news. We decided not to go. Was invited to talk at the parliament. What can one say? That aside, they've got plenty of people giving them bad advice. It's just very interesting. Bad for them, good for you. No need to have only one currency. It's old-fashioned. You are, of course, welcome to use apartment in New York with your new leisure time or go. So they let Chomsky use his apartment.
Yo, and he was like walking around and saw that fucking weird portrait of like Bill Clinton and shit. It was like, yeah, this guy's cool. I like him. What the fuck, dude? What? Why would you?
Yo, let's be very honest, bro. It's the fact that he was a billionaire and could like get him whatever he wanted.
Yeah. I mean, but
let's be very honest.
Yeah, but like, what does it say about your moral character that you're willing to tolerate any of this shit in the name of just like having unlimited beluga caviar and get to hang out with Ehud Barak? Like, you really need to hang out with Ehud Barak to like understand the Israeli ruling class. Give me a fucking break.
Well, it suggests a very selective application of your moral principles.
Oh, so this is where they have intellectual discussions.
Okay, what on the character of what the
evolution?
The moral...
So they're talking about ants and evolution. Epstein says to Chomsky, ants and evolution work by trying things and finding the best solution. Math and physics works by algorithms. I'm suggesting that maybe just as a child sends out many connections and then discards the unused, might be a better template for biological thinking.
That's
Chomsky says
that's shit.
What you suggest is very much the model that has been current in the behavioral sciences for many years. It has a record of colossal failure, and for good reasons. I think it's disproven. It keeps coming back. Most recently with big data illusions. A child doesn't grow arms and legs rather than wings, or a mammalian versus insect visual system the way an ant searches for food. Rather, the path of development is sharply restricted. Evolution follows constraints too. Acquisition of language and other cognitive achievements seems very much like physical growth. Highly contentious in the field, in my opinion. That's a comment on the failures of the field.
I think all of this is much too vague to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny though that he's kind of like, no, that's stupid, Epstein.
He's like Epstein's like, yo, let me take my best shot. He's like, nah, you're dumb. You don't know what you're dumb.
And then he says the mathematical model is quite beautiful, but the basic rules are simple. Once they have run over and over again and produced as a result, you cannot tease them out by finding any form of reductionism or algorithm. Just like the series 7, 21, 37 cannot be found by algorithm. It simply differs to cubes.
What the hell is
Have you
this guy
read about
talking
the
about?
Iran deal? So this is like Elon type shit. Honestly.
Yeah, this is like even sub Elon, which is incredible.
Yeah,
this is a very midwit idea of being.
There's no way that Jeffrey Epstein found this guy.
This is your dumb uncle on
to
Facebook.
be intellectually compelling.
This is your dumb uncle on Facebook writing nonsense, is what it is.
Okay, so this is what he says about the Iran deal. I'm writing about the Iran deal. So far, I've only sent a form paragraph in response to requests below. No. On Iran, I'm a gloomy contrarian. I'm glad the treaty was signed. It's kind of fun to watch Republican lunatics streaking hysterically as they try to kill it. And Israeli hysterical has gone well beyond being comical. But in fact, the whole thing is farcical, in my opinion. So, he says, the strategic doctrine is defensive. If, a big if, it has plans for nuclear weapons, we've harvested deterrent strategy. Now, who would be opposed to Iran having a deterrent strategy? Answer is clear. Rogue state. So yeah, he gives basically the typical anti-imperialist answer, and honestly is what it seems like here. He's just saying, yeah, Iran is just trying to build nukes. If it is even trying to build nukes, it's as a deterrent. And,
is this like how they actually punctuate and like shit? Is this like?
Yeah, they write like idiots.
Why are they?
I think that might be the formatting.
I hope it is for the sake of.
Yeah, I'm not sure though, but the horrible writing from Epstein is really funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. Not once.
And then he forwards this message to Ehud Barak. It seems is what happened.
Ehud Barak had a fucking aneurysm.
Forward to Barak.
Ehud Barak writes, "Hi Jeff, I find it amusing. I don't agree with everything he says, but it is fascinating. Bibi is making historic mistakes both vis-a-vis Obama as well as in regard to the American Jewry and causes a direct damage to IO.
Bro? They'd be like talking like Goebbels about fucking crazy, bro.
I mean, whatever. Noam is so sharp and focused. Really impressive. I do not understand how the fallacy he sees in the attitude to the ants example is related to big data illusions, or is related to big data illusions. An area, deep learning, I spent some time recently trying to better penetrate.
You don't understand shit about deep learning or anything, okay? God.
We plan to be back in the last week of August for several weeks. Are you still in New Mexico? If positive, might come back for 3 days. So yeah.
This guy was.
And then
what the fuck is this world?
So yeah, that was interesting, I thought.
I don't know why Chomsky would even entertain the conversation with this guy. Like, obviously, you don't agree politically. So, what were you hoping to get out of the exchange?
I don't know. I mean, listen, I talk to people I don't agree with politically as well, but they're not fucking Jeffrey Epstein like tier people.
There's a world of difference between you talking to some random chud and him talking to a cutout for Ehud Barak, you know?
Yeah, and it's just funny that Ehud Barak is like, that is interesting. Don't agree entirely, but Netanyahu is making historic mistakes for American Jewry.
And the thing is like it's like this like kind of casual take on the thing as if it was nothing but a topic, whereas like the consequence of that person's position on Iran is the destruction and death of thousands of people. It's just like this flippant attitude. It's just I just hate these people so much, dude. They fucking God. They're just
the Chomsky stuff really is just kind of confusing to me.
I think
it's hard to say.
I think Carlos is right. It's not. It's probably, who knows? I'm just speculating. It's probably nothing nefarious in the sense that he like Chomsky's it's
I
more
don't think
that
he's diddling kids. You know, I
no,
think
I
it's
just think it's what you said. It's that he just was like fascinated by the high life
Right.
and
like, oh, I can
all
get
of-
a lot of nice stuff from
That's
associating.
the thing is that's not like Chomsky's persona at all. Like,
Yeah, but
yeah.
who knows what's in
like
people's
Chomsky
hearts,
just
you know?
seems the kind of guy who just like likes to, I don't know. He doesn't party at. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who parties or like,
Yeah, but
lives.
he's the kind of guy who
But Donald, if I came to you and I said, "Here, stay in my $50 million house for a week," would you not do that? No.
Well, if you were Pino, no. You know?
Well, okay, I'm not.
You're,
In this instance,
you're
I'm not a
Jeffrey
pedo.
Epstein.
In this instance, I'm not a pedo. I'm just saying, hey, I have a $50 million house. Go take a vacation for a week
It's
and stay
funny.
there.
Well,
God.
Why would
listen,
I
you-
know
why
about
would you
we
do that?
talked about him last week, but Nick Fuentes had like a really ridiculous take on this, where he's like, "Oh, you're telling me that if Jeffrey Epstein was like, oh, I've got an island full of all these hot chicks, so you're gonna like ask for ID before you go over there?"
What the
Like,
fuck?
oh my god. Well, no, like that's just okay. If it were a billionaire who we knew was in a pedo, okay, maybe you would take that vacation. But wasn't it like a hidden secret, so to speak, that he was a pedo? Like, wasn't this pretty well known?
After some point, yes, it was.
Yeah, but the thing is people are stupid. It's like, oh, but I met the guy and he was really cool, man. I don't believe the bullshit they say about him because he like shook my hand and it was like a really good handshake.
I never seen him diddle no kids.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I mean,
he's a solid guy.
Chomsky's
He
a titan.
looked me in the eyes and shook my hand.
Whatever we want to say, Chomsky's an intellectual titan. I mean, in terms of like just
don't disagree whatsoever.
Productivity, depth of knowledge, extensive expertise. He's a titan, and morally, he has bearings. So it is very, very strange, and it really hurts my my image of him, quite frankly, that he would associate with this guy.
Yeah, no, I listen. Like, I will say this: Noam Chomsky is the guy that got me into like left-wing politics, beyond just like kind of vague anti-war like liberal sentiments. Like he is the first like actual like left-wing author that I read.
Yeah, one of the first introductions to like left-wing philosophy for me was watching him debate Michel Foucault, which unfortunately I was on the wrong side in that debate in terms of who I enjoyed. But so
yeah, I mean, listen, like I was reading his books in high school, I was reading his essays in high school and that stuff, it was very educational for helping me understand the broader context of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and the war on terror. And
yeah,
I owe a lot to my personal education to Chomsky. I mean,
it's kind of damning. I think he owes it to people to clarify beyond the bullshit letter he wrote about in the Western tradition, like some fucking Samuel Huntington clash of civilization. Unlike you barbaric Easterners with your inability to believe in rehabilitation, rehabilitative justice.
Yeah, but I would say to Chomsky, there's just some things you cannot.
So this is his defense.
There's some what?
There are some things you cannot rehabilitate.
Yeah, I mean, or there has to be a very concerted effort to show that you are rehabilitated, which Jeffrey Epstein never did.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not one of these naive people who thinks that you can't put someone like Jeffrey Epstein in prison, like clearly, there are, and after he served his time or whatever, he should have been dispossessed and put in a social position where he cannot continue to have any kind of power over people.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
thing is that's not what happened. He's continued to have massive amounts of power, more power than ever. So let's look at what Chomsky's what Chomsky himself says about Epstein and how he kind of rationalizes.
Okay, let's actually go through it. Can you zoom in a bit? I can't really see it that well.
Yeah.
Right, with many long.
I met Jeffrey Epstein half a dozen years ago.
Our own what the fuck was his specialty?
Many long and in-depth discussions of a wide range of topics, our own specialties. Yeah, what are nobody can actually explain what this guy did to make all his money.
You know what his
and what his
specialty was.
expertise was.
You know what his specialty was.
Yeah, I really agree with you, Marcus. There. Yeah, you can't. I mean, I think at that you can't. You get like. It doesn't even matter the efforts they make at that point.
Yeah, I think that's open and shut for me.
Yeah, it's open and shut for all of us. There's no like equivocating on that.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Netanyahu, you know, he's like one of those people like, or who's just like, or a fucking Hitler. You know, he's like,
yeah,
it's one of those people that's like an avatar of evil.
Yeah, just fucking piece of shit. About the global finance, about in which I have particular, such as the financial.
It turns out we were the globalists all along.
With intimate knowledge.
So the intricacies of the global financial system, about complex technical issues that arise in the often arcane world of finance. So maybe he was just trying to get financial advice from Jeffrey Epstein.
Maybe he was doing his taxes.
The only other guy he could find to do his taxes. You know, he just wanted to.
No, I think what he's trying to say is like, you know, insofar as like Chomsky is a critic of capitalism, he wants to know the plumbings of the capitalist system of finance. And
there are way better people you could have gotten.
Yeah, I mean that's so
much better people.
You know, it's kind of a. I mean, I'm sure you could find even some like self-professed Marxist or Marxisant who works at Wall Street.
Yeah,
who could claim.
I will say though, like someone like Jeffrey Epstein, like clearly has a lot of information because that's what his whole thing was. It was brokering information.
Yeah, he could have maybe even. You know, I mean, sometimes.
So obviously, you know, there is like a defense that is like, well, like I'm somebody who's very interested in how the world works. And Jeffrey Epstein is somebody who had a lot of information, so I wanted to get to know him.
You could have been honest in that way, and then I would have kind of been like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I would have understood that. I was like, okay, maybe you didn't.
Because I could relate to it because I hate people telling me who I can talk to, and like, oh, you can't talk to that guy, he's sus. It's like, no, I'm gonna talk to whoever I want, you know.
But it's often the case that you don't.
But this is the thing:
people that you associate with.
But this is the thing: is like he was staying at the guy's house.
Yeah, he wasn't. It wasn't just like
he was talking to him, and
wasn't a sit down where he was probing the depths of Epstein's mind. It was also like a friendship where they were chilling in Greece or whatever.
And that's the thing: is like if you want information from these types, you have to like cultivate like a friendship with them and like have them get compromised on you. I feel.
No, you don't. Like I don't know. I mean, I guess you're playing devil's advocate, but like. You don't have to be his best fucking friend to like have a conversation with him, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know. It seems like their relationship was kind of tight, man. Like he was letting him stay at his house and being like, "Yo, I can help you get a doctor."
Epstein also paid for medical treatments for his wife.
Where did he live? Where did they meet?
Wasn't Chomsky at MIT?
Oh yeah, and you know what? Epstein donated a lot to the AI lab and to MIT in general.
We'll probably talk about that.
In fact, Stephen Jay Gould met with him or knew him too. Oh.
This is funny. Turning to my own special interest in linguistics, cognitive science, and philosophy of language in mind, Jeffrey constantly raises searching questions and puts forth provocative ideas, which have repeatedly.
What I love is
I'm sorry that I had to like contain my laughing.
I mean, like his ramblings about ants.
What kind of
his ants? Oh, ants are just like pure evolution, man. Wouldn't humans be like more efficient if we were more like that?
And he's like,
what kind of questions was he asking, bro?
And he's like, no, that's stupid. Like he wasn't rethinking anything. He was literally like, I have to fucking answer this idiot's dumb ideas in order to be able to hang out in Greece. Like, what the fuck?
It's from these emails, like he really does just seem to have like sub-Elon intellect.
Yeah, he's like Elon, yeah, basically.
We have had, for me, very rewarding discussions on many other topics. For example, the prospects for artificial intelligence, deep learning, multi-layered neural nets, automation, and
What
robotics.
what other kind of neural nets are there? The fuck?
Singularity. I'm talking about the singularity. It's silly. Related matters, exploring the claims and predictions, and looking closely at the results that have been achieved, their intellectual contributions, and social import. This just looks like generic copy for like a tech company.
Yeah.
Right. We have also discussed many other things, ranging from intellectual history, the world affairs, and contemporary geopolitics, the foundations of mathematics, such matters as recent discoveries about communications in the plant world. He's also tried, so far with limited success, to carry forward my wife Valeria's efforts to introduce me to the world of jazz.
He doesn't like jazz? What a Philistine, bro.
I wonder what jazz that Epstein liked.
Oh, man.
I don't want to find out. I highly doubt he liked good jazz. I think like what I know about
Kenny
Epstein's
G.
music taste.
Bro, Kenny G. He's into Kenny G. That's definitely.
There's no way he was like blasting like Coltrane. Or
no, he probably knows the he probably.
You're right. I mean, Bill Clinton was like into like pretty heady jazz, which is what's funny. It's actually I can like, there's actually a lot of I can say about jazz history in the White House. That's interesting, but given the range and depth of his concerns, I mean, you can say he had range, that's for sure. I suppose I should not have been surprised to discover that Epstein had repeatedly been able to arrange, sometimes on the spot, very productive figures with leading figures in science and mathematics. So, once when we were discussing the Oslo agreements, Jeffrey picked up the phone and called a Norwegian diplomat who supervised them, leading to a lively interchange.
What the fuck?
On another occasion,
this guy know everyone.
Jeffrey arranged a meeting with former Israeli minister Ehud Barak, whose record I had studied carefully and written about. We have our disagreements, but had a very fruitful discussion about a number of controversial matters, including one that was of particular interest to me, as happened negotiations in January 2001, the framework of President Clinton's parameters events that remains obscure and controversial. His diplomatic record is still mostly secret. So I think I guess that's his reasoning for like meeting up with Barack, is he was just really interested in.
Okay, but this just reads like a fucking like panegyric. Like it's just a eulogy.
Yeah, no, it's
like what?
Yeah.
Like
it's a letter of recommendation.
Why don't
it's
you?
A letter, yeah.
Why don't you? Oh, it's a letter to what? Oh, for like
to whom it may concern. He wrote Epstein a letter of recommendation. For what? Who knows? But there it is.
Chomsky, I'm sorry. I
mean, it's
dude. Isn't
it
this like destroying you?
What?
Is this not just like destroying you?
Like I'm not like I'm not one to like. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. You're done, bro.
I know.
I really respect Chomsky.
Me too. You're done. I respect his intellectual. He's an intellectual titan, but as far as his moral credibility, he's done. He's fucking cooked. I'm sorry, you're cooked. You're done. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. You made the wrong.
Yeah, this is bad. Epstein flew Chomsky to have dinner with Woody Allen and Soon Yi too, right? Oh my God, that's a whole other can of worms.
Dude, yeah, no.
Their names showed up in emails regarding Clinton alumni being
considered for He's done. His moral character is in the trash.
Yeah, I mean, this letter is so bad.
You're done.
So
you're anyone who ever talks to me or tries to use Chomsky's like, tries to say that he's a moral titan or whatever is wrong. He made just awful decisions with his life, and
it's over for Chomsky, bro.
Cavorting with a child rapist, fucking piece of shit. Yeah, you're done. You're finished.
The impact of Jeffrey's limitless curiosity, extensive knowledge, penetrating insights, and thoughtful appraisals is only heightened by his easy informality, without a trace of pretentiousness.
He was a pleasure to have in class.
A highly valued friend and regular source of intellectual exchange and stimulation. Yeah, come on, man. Like, how
bullshit.
Such bullshit.
Well, another one bites the dust.
I mean, Yeah, that's the thing is like I used to always say it's like, man, when Chomsky dies, like I'm gonna be like depressed, even though like I disagree with him and I'm like annoyed with him. And
Well, he looks like the Keebler elf.
he said a lot of stuff and over the years that's pissed me off. He's done a lot of things wrong, from Cambodia to Lenin to whatever.
Also, just like his general anyone who plays the whole "I'm not an authoritarian socialist, I'm a good socialist" is either being naive or disingenuous, because
it's annoying.
Because at no point do they ever contend with the realities of what it means to take state power,
right?
And they treat civil war as if it were some moral dilemma, as opposed to being a very real reality that confronts opposing political forces and social forces. So just this whole kind of "I'm a good socialist, libertarian socialist, blah 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 blah," that I think for me intellectually was always just like, it's just not serious. You think Lenin woke up every day and was like, I just want to terrorize people, man. Like, I just want to fucking be an authoritarian. That's what I believe in. And no, I mean, it was there's aspects of his character, like any leader, that are domineering, but the authoritarian direction of the Soviet state has very little to do with Lenin's beliefs before the war, his conduct. It has
absolutely. The way that Chomsky like tries to say, he said that Lenin was like the right wing of the Marxist movement, as opposed to people like Pannekoek and Luxembourg. It's just like, no, that's just such nonsense.
And I love how all the Luxembourg praises him and basically says there was no other option. Yeah, no, I think he's never been a very serious socialist.
He's never been a serious political figure.
I just think it's funny that he had the wrong position on Lenin. No, I feel like he was wrong on Lenin and Cambodia. How could you do that?
Yeah,
how is that possible?
He was also kind of soft on Milosevic, I think, too.
How do you take the wrong?
Which is bizarre. It's like
Cambodia, bro.
Well, there are a lot of people who are soft on, because there is an aspect of the NATO war where it was about breaking up the.
No,
right.
Yeah, the NATO intervention was bad. Don't get me wrong.
And it was also about breaking up Yugoslavia or any vestiges of it because of its socialist heritage.
But about the topic, the more I do see Serbian nationalism as like a key factor
toxic
in breaking up Yugoslavia.
Yeah,
I think
toxic.
Like if you are mad about the breakup of Yugoslavia, I think you should be mad at Milosevic.
Well, also the inequalities between the various nationalities.
Yeah,
there was a class basis to it, right? I mean, Kosovo is much poorer.
Yeah, and, unequal development, and the fact that their model of development, their market socialist nonsense, wasn't really able to address. Even though there are things about it that I admire, like I do think like worker self-management is good. But anyway, we're off topic. Let's get back to Epstein. So we looked at the Chomsky stuff. I think one thing that's interesting is that Marjorie Taylor Greene has like completely broken with Trump now on
yeah, they all. I mean, they
issue.
It's really gonna. I don't know about you guys, but there's a potential for this to finish Trump. Just finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think people are already jumping ship to save their own skin.
Yeah,
like they're putting a lot of distance between them.
He might be fucking cooked.
Yeah, hold on. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, she's obviously kooky. Maybe some of the kookier stuff she does is honestly a performance, because she seems to be kind of politically savvy in what she's doing here, and that she's kind of getting ahead of like all of this stuff and positioning herself, I think, politically, because this is going to look really bad for Trump, and anyone who's politically smart is going to get ahead of this and like condemn this Epstein file stuff,
Yeah.
So I think what she's doing here is just smart. Honestly, it's not even like about principle or anything. This is just like what a smart politician who's like looking ahead of the game would do. But yeah, she's saying that Trump has attacked me, lied about me. I've done so much for Trump, but he's trying so hard to stop the Epstein files, and
they're all idiots. She's an idiot. I hate her.
yeah, she is an idiot, but I don't know how much of it is a performance.
You know it is.
No, she could just be a complete opportunist.
No, you know.
To some degree.
Seemingly, that's what she is. That's what she's doing now.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we were talking obviously last week about Nick Fuentes as kind of this emerging like dissident trend within MAGA, but even Tucker Carlson is kind of creating a more mainstream friendly version of that maybe. But now it seems like Marjorie Taylor Greene is but now it's like she's turning on Trump over this Epstein stuff. It seems like this kind of rift in MAGA is becoming serious.
It is, yeah. I mean, it was already an unstable coalition to some degree, but whew, it's rapidly disintegrating.
And like she's had like riffs with Trump before, if this is like full on, like she's saying like I'm completely done with him, like so yeah. So I don't know. Part of me like, what was that?
Can you go back to that? I kind of want to see her bullshit.
Hold on, yeah. Let me zoom in a little bit. I haven't called him at all, but I did send him these text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the Epstein files. Of course, he's coming after me to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. It's astonishing how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out, and it actually goes to this level. Really, most Americans would wish he would fight this hard to help the forgotten men when we're fed up with foreign wars and foreign causes, etc., etc. But I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship God. Jesus is my savior. Blah, blah, blah. For me, I remain America first. You worship America
at the altar of the fanatical petty bourgeoisie is what you fucking...
Yeah. Here's her messaging Trump. Check the flight logs of Epstein's plane. Bill Clinton is on there like 26 times. Hillary too. For many of us, releasing Epstein files has always been about the women who were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, but also because of Democrat bad guys like Clinton were entangled involved with him. Epstein was a spider that wove the weave of the deep state. Lean into it. So she's telling Trump to lean into the Epstein files instead of trying to block it, which is what he was kind of doing before. But
yeah, but he's in it. He's cool.
Yeah, now he's in it, so he's clearly freaking out. And
yeah, and I mean, that's just, yeah. I can't.
Thomas Massey said something interesting too.
Yeah, they're cooked. They're fucking cooked, bro.
Yeah, MAGA's absolutely cooked, but I need to like go just like hang out with some normie MAGA people and talk to them and get more of a feel of like, with a non-online crowd. Because it's easy to kind of feel like things are more divided than they really are when you're online.
Listen, I
want to get a feel of like how common is discussed over this Epstein stuff.
Listen, it's pretty easy to ignore reality. You can just be like, well, this shit is invented. The Democrats woke invented this, and Epstein's the deep state is trying to discredit Trump. You can pull all sorts of shit. I'm sure Alex Jones is already providing a whole lot of copium. So
yeah. Hold on. Massey was basically saying like you better like vote like the right way because history is going to come out, and he says next week the House will finally vote on a real legislation to release the Epstein files.
Let's see what people say. Click.
Yeah. 92.8.
Dusted.
Don't care. It's a hoax.
Dusted.
Oh my god.
Over again. Even the president has gone after you in some deeply personal ways. I mean, attacking you over and over again, even attacking you for, regarding your wedding, your recent wedding, which, by the way, congratulations. What do you make of all that? And he's obviously supporting your primary opponents. I mean, what kind of retribution are you facing?
You know, my wife told me, she said, "I told you so. We should have invited Donald Trump. He's mad that he didn't get an invitation." So we're taking it with a grain of salt. He's being a bully or trying to be a bully. And they're trying to beat me here in Kentucky. But here's what's interesting. The people financing this campaign consist completely of 3 billionaires, and they're all in the Epstein class. In fact, one of them is named in Epstein's phone book, not the secret files that the FBI is keeping, but in Epstein's phone book. So it's a small world. Dogs don't bark at parked cars. And we are winning. I'm not tired of winning yet, but we are winning.
That's that folksy wisdom that I need.
The speaker, but the attorney general, the FBI director, and the president himself and the vice president, they're taking a big loss this week because after months of fighting, I am winning this week with Ro Khanna. We're forcing this vote, and it's going to happen. I would remind my Republican colleagues who are deciding how to vote, Donald Trump can protect you in red districts right now by giving you an endorsement. But in 2030, he's not going to be the president, and you will have voted to protect pedophiles if you don't vote to release these files, and the president can't protect you then. This vote, the record of this vote, will last longer than Donald Trump's presidency.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, I mean, Kilgore does say something interesting. Yeah.
Hold on, let me bring it up.
There is a very interesting, in all fascistic type movements, a very interesting, for lack of a better term, dialectic between the leader and the organic mass movement.
Yeah.
There had been similar kind of dynamics here with Trumpism, right? Which is you have, the Fuhrer or whatever, the fucking leader, Trump. And you have the organic mass movement headed by cadre like Groypers. Well, if their leader's going down, where does that leave the organic mass movement? I don't think Fuentes has the juice to be. I'm sorry, I don't think he has the juice.
No, he's not the kind of guy who can actually lead a
No,
movement.
he's not.
He's like a troll. He's a jester. Yeah. He's funny. He's entertaining, but he's not a leader.
He's not. So I think actually in many ways they're kind of fucked because fascistic mass movements, they really do need that leader.
But what I'll say is 3 years is a long time. Like in 3 years, something or someone could emerge.
False. I mean, that's very true.
Yeah, a classic Italian fascism only took 2 years to become a mass movement.
It's true, but don't forget this, right, Carlos? Italian mass fascism, its political expression emerged very quickly, but Mussolini had been trained for decades. Is the Groyper movement that mature that it could produce, a forcible, charismatic, intelligent leader? I have the feeling that the human material is it's not great. So
there's so many different possibilities though. All sorts.
Yeah, you just don't know at this point. Like no one, but a year ago, if someone told me Nick Fuentes would be like a major figure.
Well, think about it. A year ago, no one even knew Zoran existed, right? Like, look at Zoran. No one knew Zoran was a thing a year ago.
Yeah, that's true.
New York.
But to our credit, especially our generation has been actively or more or less actively trying to build a socialist movement since at least 2016. Some of us longer. I mean, I've been more or less a committed socialist my entire life and a more or less active one since 2012. So, it's been decades in the making. Zoran Mamdani has been decades in the making. He also comes from a lineage that's literally decades in the making. Is there an analogy with the right wing? I don't know if I mean, there is, I guess, maybe. The Groypers have been.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, but what I will say is that the crucial difference here is that the left has headwinds, right? We have to organize into essentially state repression.
Yeah.
The right doesn't have the same headwind. If anything,
No,
they
they
have a tailwind.
Yeah, you're right.
They're being
You're right
supported
about
by
that.
elements of the state. They're
They
not
also
being
have
resisted.
They also have a much lower threshold for what constitutes effective organizing, because they're not fundamentally democratic, right? And they're not revolutionary. So it's really just about getting state power and a few of your people in power and bullying your program into place. But maybe
But if
there
I
is.
wanted to be like conspiratorial about it, it would be almost the easiest thing in the world to pluck some unknown guy out of the right wing milieu and then present him as like a grassroots organic candidate. Even he could even be backed by elements of the so-called deep state.
Listen,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is Jackson Hinkle is going to return from exile in Russia. And he's going to lead the dissident wing of MAGA to truly make America great again through MAGA communism.
That's the most cursed timeline possible.
Yeah, no, we're going to work with Russia to build the Siberian land bridge.
Listen, if that happens,
Ukraine will be fully occupied finally.
Okay, I will. If that happens, that's like a Robitussin trip. That's like
I'm just joking. I just thought that comment in the chat was fun.
I mean, and I agree with Kilgore here, which is, the Groypers are going to have to clean up, basically, or
but I feel like Tucker is kind of like
trying to do that.
Kind of do that for them. Because Tucker's CIA basically, or maybe not him. He's not himself CIA, but he has like those connections and background. So he might be able to put together some kind of America First movement. And I think what it's going to be is it's not going to be anti-Zionist in the way that we understand anti-Zionism. It's not even going to be like it's not going to be against Israel in the way that we like understand being against Israel. It's going to say is that what we need to do is renegotiate the relationship with Israel so that it's America first rather than Zod.
Yeah, no. They're not going to be. I mean, and there'll probably even be a split within that, right? Because there's going to be hardline anti-Semites who want to have nothing to do with Israel. And then
but the thing is even the Nick Fuentes people are like softening to where they're saying like, well, we just want like a relationship with Israel where America benefits.
Yeah, but that's only because politically right now they're meeting resistance. Right? Yeah, but if they meet less and less resistance, those hardliners will come out, and there will be a split on those lines as well. But I think you're correct. I think the dominant position going forward is going to be that it's that we want to be allies, so to speak, with Israel, but they have to be our puppet. And if they're not our puppet,
basically how do we renegotiate the special relationship as well as make it more PR friendly for
I mean, they have to be our puppet is really behind the scenes what they're going to be saying. Like
we have to make it nationalist friendly. We have to make it like we have to make the relationship with Israel like understood in America First nationalist terms.
But I will say
going to go forward.
We had Marcus said something smart too, which is that Bonapartist politics are born and die at the hands of a single. Yes. There is an element of truth to that. I don't think that whatever has caused Trumpism is not gone. And so insofar as it is not gone and is not resolved, this particular iteration of Bonapartism might die, but it will come back. And coming back to what our other comrade said, which is the MAGA splinters finding a relatively more coherent expression, that might occur is kind of what we're discussing, right? And it is scary to think, because if you actually had a more coherent, effective leader leading a real mass organic movement, that's fucking scary. It's very scary with the kind of state and military power that the U.S. has. It's terrifying, and it's terrifying not just for the U.S. but for the whole world and for like literally nature and the planet. Because we have way too many. Humanity. We have too many nukes. Way too many nukes. So yeah, I mean, it's not good. It's in other words, I guess kind of what I'm trying to say is that even though we may see the fall of Trump, and that might be some kind of, I wouldn't call it a victory. It's a good thing. It doesn't mean the end of this nightmare, which is the crisis of American empire, right? I mean, that's really.
It's also important to understand that like fascist movements can like have infighting and stuff. Like the Licudites and the Trumpites might have some infighting and stuff at a certain point. Like, but they might get back together. You know.
I mean, even in Italy.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I was thinking of actually is Italy, for example. I mean, Mussolini and Hitler didn't really get along at first.
Or even within the Italian fascists, right? When Mussolini started to get more closer and closer to state power, he started to moderate more and more his positions. Became, dropped clericalism. He dropped the anti-capitalism thing. He dropped basically all of his positions in order to bring the ruling class to support him, in order to bring the church to support him, and that pissed off, a lot of the cadre, including people like, what was his face, Italo Balbo, right? Remember that guy? Yeah, fucking lunatic. So
that guy was such a thug.
Yeah, total thug. And
the ideal thug.
Yeah, Mussolini would be like, okay, guys, we can't just go out in the streets and beat people with like pieces of hard fish, but like have to actually have coherent politics. And Balbo was like, a betrayal.
Betrayal. How could
betrayal.
At first they just laugh at him like, oh, you're joking. You can't.
I mean, that guy's great political innovation is to torture people with castor oil. Yeah, I mean, there's these tensions. Fascism is.
No, I mean, you see that in Nick Fuentes himself. He's like constantly like telling his audience to like stop like attacking Jewish people with water guns and like having to like tell people they're going too far with racism and stuff, and we'll be like, okay, guys, like you're actually like gonna do something bad. So like he's always like trying to like tell his mass of like incel lumpen idiot fans that calm him down.
We live in the worst timeline.
Yeah, I mean, there is a very dangerous right-wing youth culture emerging.
Yeah,
and I'm reading about the Jabotinskyites in Poland in 1930s, and similar dynamic where Jabotinsky is like kind of more, he's kind of like more willing to appeal to liberal norms and stuff, whereas like are like they just want to like kill people and stuff, and they're just like super militaristic and have no interest, and they like love like fascism, and it's very similar dynamic.
Yeah, we're fucked. I mean, it's not a message of hope that I'm leaving us with.
It's I mean, we're talking about Epstein. It's hard to leave with a message of hope.
Well, history, it hasn't been written yet.
Yeah.
So there is always a chance to deviate from the course that we're on.
Yeah. I mean, but I guess to wrap up, it is worth kind of reflecting on what we learned in reviewing these Epstein documents. And I think kind of what we hit on about the him being a certain member of this like lumpen bourgeoisie and the role that this lumpen bourgeoisie plays in the economy and state is it's probably the most important reflection of the entire stream, right? I mean, it's all well and good to go down the rabbit hole and look into all the specificities, but zooming out and taking a more global view, that's what's really important. Is like how he, he's this kind of extra judicial spirit that can smooth the contradictions between various factions of the class nationally and internationally, and he can he can basically operate to realize different factions' interests using not just extrajudicial but evil means. And I mean, he plays that important role, right, in the state and the economy.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the parapolitics crowd, the kind of conspiracy crowd, you kind of have been vindicated here. Gotta hand it to you. Like, you actually have caught on to, an important part of reality. And I think serious Marxist analysis is going to have to take these kind of some things into account from now on.
But I think it is worth also kind of making clear what, the term conspiracy is thrown around a lot, right? These days, it's basically the only meaning it has anymore now is a mediatic term is a pejorative, right? Conspiracy theory is a theory of that could only be believed by a crank about machinations.
Right, and that's why the term that's kind of been taken up is parapolitics.
Yeah,
which is kind of coined by Peter Dale Scott, who he writes on the JFK assassination, and he tries to investigate these aspects of ruling class politics through this concept of the deep state, and he tries to write about it in a fairly rational and empirical way, and there are limits to his ideology. He actually is kind of liberal and is kind of like, well, the thing is the Constitution is good. It's just that there's a deep state that like operates outside the Constitution, and that's the problem.
But even there can even be benign parts of, so to speak, of a state that operate outside the limelight of supervision, right? Like, it seems to me like the crucial aspect is not necessarily whether something is known by the public as opposed to being unknowable by the public, as opposed to being actively hidden, right? And
right,
and I think that it's pretty obvious that every ruling class, insofar as it is, we don't live in democracy and have never lived under democracy, that the ruling class is not subject to supervision, so that most of its doings are hidden, right? And by necessity hidden. But the question is, what distinguishes then that, the kind of the regular operation, say, of capitalist power from a full-blown conspiracy? Every day when the Joint Chiefs of Staff meet, that's hidden from us, right? Or that we can't access that, but we wouldn't call that a conspiracy, right? Or should we? I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Maybe conspiracy is just very much the modus operandi of the ruling classes in the capitalist state, right?
I think we're having more and more of a basis to say that, actually.
Yeah. And I think what's crucial here is like not so much that it's hidden, right, but that it's hidden and obviously extrajudicial.
Right. I feel like the key part is that it operates outside the capitalist rule of law and outside the norms of the official capitalist state.
And deliberately, right? Because it's like, I'm sure the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they do some shit and it might not completely live up to protocol or whatever. But I would assume most of the time they're operating thinking, well, I have to follow this or that norm or this or that piece of legalese, right? But it's like with Jeffrey Epstein, there's this self-consciousness that what we're doing is extrajudicial and has to be. So no, but it is maybe worth. I have to think more about it, but it is definitely.
But there has been long, like a part of the left that has argued that there is a parapolitical realm of ruling class conspiracies, of deep states, of illegal actions by the ruling class, of subterranean organizations that are hidden from official view, that there are various kinds of networks and cliques that operate outside of official view, outside of view that use force outside of the law in order to maintain power, in order to maintain the official institutions of ruling class power. And so, this stuff is real. And so we should be willing to investigate it scientifically as if we would investigate any other part of history. That is what my take is but that means that we have to have the same kind of rigor and the same kind of hostility, the kind of like teleological, paranoid thinking that we would have in any kind of serious historical thought.
Yeah,
which means we can't just like be like crazy, the left-wing version of like crazy conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have your standards of theorization and of quote unquote empirical testing.
Because when like we find like a lot of like conspiracy stuff, is the problems with it is in the end a lot of times it's like assuming that there's like a telos kind of like behind everything that isn't actually there.
Yeah. I mean, it's also kind of what Varn is getting at here, right? Which is that like, well, first off, like I guess it depends what we mean by the term. Like I kind of had been flirting with conspiracy as a way of the ruling class. It's the modus operandi of the ruling classes right? Operating by conspiracy.
I think we should regard. I mean, first of all, we shouldn't use the pejorative connotation of the word. Like we should regard it as another mode by which they operate. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Another mode by which the vector state power operates.
Yeah, exactly.
Class forces operate as well.
That's a very sharp way, and to see it as the primary driver, as you were saying, like there's this secret story that has to be uncovered. It's almost like it almost reminds you of like scholasticism. There's like this like this esoteric text, and the enlightened have to read into this esoteric text and reveal it.
Right.
It's naive because history is not a text, right? It's not a narrative. It's not that simple with one coherent line of
right. That's the thing is like a lot of conspiracy people, they just find connections and they think that these connections have a telos and a purpose to them that isn't actually proven to be there. And that's I can find examples of that, but I'm sure like we can all think of we just can think of instances where we've talked to people and they kind of make too much of various connections. But I will say sorry, what were we gonna say, Joseph?
No, go ahead.
I know we wanted to wrap up soon.
We can spend a little more time.
So we can keep talking about this, okay?
Yeah, a little bit. We're doing
I like this discussion. I think
we're cooking.
Okay, so what I wanted to go with is I do think that there is this take in the left about conspiracies where that like you have kooky conspiracy takes, like saying the idea that all of the victims at the Sandy Hook shooting were crisis actors, which was just patently completely false, right? That's obviously something that's just like objectively not true. There's no truth in that whatsoever. And you could say, well, but people kind of believe in this kind of stuff because, the ruling class really is trying to like kill us all. And so, there's that reading of conspiracy stuff that I just don't agree with at all, which is just kind of like, well, yeah, there is this kind of like crazy, mystical, irrational stuff that the plebs believe. But if we like read it the right way, there's like a rational kernel there. But the thing is like the rational kernel that people kind of like always point to is never real in the first place. And I don't know. There's a recent letter in Cosmonaut that I wrote a response to that cites this book that kind of uses that example, and it kind of says that like these these Sandy Hook type conspiracies are kind of like this reified understanding of an actual truth, which is that the state really is like trying to kill us all. But I just don't think that that's like the right way to approach these things. Like I think rather than like kind of seeing conspiracies as like these folk tales that like contain esoteric truths, if we just kind of like look at them the right way, I think we should just do what I was saying earlier, which is just scientifically study actual conspiracies of the ruling class as part of any other part of history and society.
I'd actually like to offer 18th Brumaire as a model of that. I think that's what Marx was engaging in, actually, at least in part, is like uncovering a conspiracy within the French ruling class.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not as if there isn't a precedent for the analysis of conspiracy in Marxism itself. Actually, as a matter of fact, another kind of example, right? It's more under the line of what one of our comrades here was calling palace intrigue is Trotsky's absolutely brilliant and hysterically funny take on Rasputin and the Rasputin clique in
The history of the Russian Revolution.
Revolution, yeah. And he precisely kind of analyzing the figure of Rasputin and how he was this facade for a whole kind of weird mystical clique within the Tsar's entourage that was trying to influence Tsar's policy. So no, I mean, it's not as if there isn't, but there is kind of the epistemological paradox, though, which is that if these are important components of even contemporary history, and we can't give a complete or good account of what's happening without them, but kind of by definition in the moment we don't know of them, then can we ever have a good or complete account of history? Can we ever really have a good or complete understanding of where we are? And
that's a good point. That does kind of, that is the one reason why Marxists might be kind of uneasy with some of this stuff, is like he does kind of throw indeterminacy into history. In a way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think we're obviously kind of saved by the fact that the overall dynamics of capitalist state power are relatively insensitive to the microdynamics of capitalists machinations, right? Otherwise, yeah, we would be fucked, right? If we had to know every single detail of how every single transaction power dynamic occurred, we would never occur or could ever have a global view of the capitalist state and how it operates, right? So
yeah, I mean, the point of Marxism isn't to predict the future anyway. So.
Yeah. No, but just having a general understanding of its overall dynamics, right?
Yeah.
The global dynamics are relatively insensitive to the microdynamics. Otherwise we're fucked, right? If we have to know of every conspiracy happening right now in order to have a decent understanding of how
the problem would be
how the capitalist state operates today, we'd be screwed, right? I mean, we would have no understanding, right? So maybe we're saving ourselves in that sense. I guess maybe, I kind of have to agree with Kilgore. I think the broad outlines of human history today would be, they would obviously.
I don't know. I think Epstein was a man of history.
Let's take the number one crisis afflicting humanity today, the ecological crisis. Get rid of Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't fucking solve the climate crisis. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, the point is Jeffrey Epstein.
Sure, but it also means that like recent history sort of becomes unintelligible without
I'd say less so, definitely. That's
right.
Definitely
Okay. Maybe I put it too strongly, but what I would say is like you would not have a complete understanding of recent history without putting Epstein in his proper place.
But how complete do we need it to have a good, so to speak, understanding of history today?
I mean, it needs to be complete enough so that.
I mean, the fact is that the scandal itself is rocking the entire like political system.
It's true. I mean, this might actually be. Yeah. I mean, it's not.
This is like a major. It's like the Monica Lewinsky scandal, but like even more insane.
It's way more insane.
No, it's way more.
And people are revisiting the Monica Lewinsky scandal and like finding evidence that Mossad was involved in that.
It's great.
This makes Monica Lewinsky look quaint.
Yeah, for real.
I know, but yeah, no, it's funny because that's what they're saying is like, yeah, like they wanted like Bill Clinton to like go to war with Iran or something or whatever, and so, but he wouldn't. So then they were like, okay, well, we'll have Monica Lewinsky tell on you, and Bill was just like, I don't care, like.
Oh man, that's.
But like what they got on Trump, I think is way more intense, or had on, or whatever exists on Trump is way more intense.
Yeah, we'll see if he goes down.
Well, and the thing is like the right is already like trying to like downplay like pedophilia and try to make it like seem like Trump didn't do anything.
Well, I mean, that's the quote unquote, just to kind of do some folk psychology. The mass psychology of fascism is one that revels in cruelty. So at some point, some people might just be like mask off and just say, you know what? If you're stronger, you can be a pedo, whatever. I mean, they might just go that route. Some will, obviously.
Hold on,
Okay.
there's a funny clip from one of our recurring guests that I wanted to play.
For Epstein, I've said this. As for Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn, now they call it child sexual abuse material, on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10, I was under 14 when I first came.
Oh my God.
Purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference.
No, it's not.
I think
It's
there is a
not.
difference.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever.
That's the classic pedophile defense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
So that is the message that the mainstream Republican Party is now going with.
bro, the Chinese must look at this and be like, wow.
It's like, this is what we fought so hard to overthrow. And
Yeah.
now you're regressing to it. Like,
do fucking anything.
Yeah, at this point, the Chinese leadership doesn't have to do anything and they'll win. They just have to run the clock.
These are the people running the country. It's just a country of, what the hell is this place? I don't even know anymore. Okay, comrades.
yeah, that's where I think we're gonna end it tonight, comrades. Good stream. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for commenting in the chat and keeping it active.
Yeah, it was a good time. Unfortunately, given the material, I think you guys please tune in weekly and contribute. You guys make the show.
Yes, Varn, who needs enemies with elites like this?
Yeah, for
very
real.
much. Yes, and everyone, please support our Patreon and
Check
buy
out
our
Cosmocast
merch
magazine. Buy merch.
and support our operation so we can upgrade this and make it even better. All right, y'all.
Hit the subscribe and like button, please.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Yeah.